Hello, and welcome back to the Triangle Business Podcast. Today's episode is going to be on the extremely unsexy topic of administrative systems. We were literally just thinking about what we're going to call this, and we're like, how about we just call it what it is?
Yeah. Before we get started, that's Joey Nattel,
Oh, yes. Hi, my name's
Scott
Joey
Moore.
Still. This is Scott Moore. Yes. Got excited
Um,
there.
we're
Welcome
so
back, y'all.
excited about our amazing title for the episode that we forgot to introduce ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. So, administrative systems, I remember on the beautiful, the leg of the stools, if you will, the tripod effect of like, what is it, sales and marketing,
Sales marketing is one leg,
admin,
production is another leg, administration is
production
another.
was the word. I was going to say operations, but yeah, that makes sense. And so, admin is, I think you've said many times before, is the least desired, least sexy, um,
I
but
don't
it
find people
is,
get very excited about working
yeah,
on their administrative systems.
no, they're
It,
not.
I mean, it's really simple for me to understand why that probably is for most people. It's because they're good at something
Mhm.
and they maybe even, I hope, enjoy
Yep.
doing the thing that they're good at. And
Yep.
that's, the production part. You really like you're driven to want to do that because that's probably why you started the business.
Yeah.
If you could have sales and marketing systems that just gave you other clients all the time to work on, and all you could do is the production part of it, you'd
Mhm.
probably be very happy. At least the people who are starting out.
Yeah. Like two things come to mind. One I just heard today. I'm excited to share because it's relevant to our topic today. And two, it comes from the E-Myth book, which is working on the business. I don't know if it's come that working on the business, working versus working in the business. And on the
Yeah.
business is more admin stuff. And this other thing that comes to mind, which I think is why this actually is so important and relevant, is sometimes what gets in the way of people doing a task is they actually have too much stuff in the way.
Too
So
much
what I
stuff
mean,
around.
too much stuff like mentally kind of
Oh yeah, I was
cognitive
like,
load
is it?
using everywhere. No, although that can be a thing too. Clutter does have a psychological effect. That's probably another time for another episode, which we will dig into. Make your bed, friends. Anyway, so so one of the things that's interesting about this is like I know this is true for everybody to a certain degree, but especially more so with people like ADHD or neurodivergent, where it's just like analysis paralysis. And so there's like, but I have all these goals. Like I need to go do business. And then I've got my long-term goals, which is like, I don't know, 6 months I'm going to lose weight or I need to put money in 401k or something like that. And then there's just like personal stuff, which is just life goals. And then there's like day job stuff. And so, we could categorize into four different quadrants and you could call them different things. But I'll give a more practical example for me is like, wow, I run an Airbnb out of my house and I have a business and we run this podcast. And I'm like, wow, I need to do all these things. And you know what I really don't want to do, but it needs to get done is I need to go cut the grass, for example. And that doesn't feel like it's going to move anything forward. Or I think even a better example than cut the grass is like I use like corn gluten, which is better for the grass and it also prevents weeds. And that's going to save me time and energy in the spring. I'm like, man, I just did it yesterday. That's why it's relevant today.
Right.
And I've been putting it off for
Out
months.
doing yard work.
Yeah. And so I'm like, does this task really move the needle in my business? Does it make me any money? Not really. And is it even an admin task in business? No. But there's a cognitive load using a tech term like it words. There's RAM in a computer and that's speed and it's like a load, if you will. And it
Yeah.
pulls you back from doing those things. So now that I do that, it's done. I don't have to think about it anymore because we're unconsciously there. And in some ways, I feel like admin tasks, although they are more consistent in business, like except for like one-time changes, like I need to update this thing on my website, and that's not a consistent thing, but it still needs to be done. Like it just feels like, ugh, those things. So wanted to share that.
Yeah. When people are like, I have work to do, me trying to mess around with my CRM or my emailing system, or
Mhm.
how, like how do I have a system whereby I follow up with prospects or clients or whatever? They're like, I have work to do. And that is the most easy thing for me to tackle when I am like, I'm in business mode, right?
Right.
And then if you don't have work to do, you urgently feel the need to do marketing and sales activities.
Hmm.
And so those two things just kind of like, it's like I did a bunch of marketing and sales. Now I have a lot of work to do. So I stopped doing marketing and sales. I
Hmm.
don't have a lot of work to do because I didn't focus on marketing and sales. Like that roller coaster, people will just be so engaged with that up and down cycle,
Hmm.
that admin just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. Um, and I just like, I have come to understand that like admin doesn't get any production done and admin doesn't get any marketing and sales done.
Hmm.
All admin does is it makes the other parts of your business run more efficiently.
Yes.
And when people are like, I'm too busy, one of the things I always ask is like, where's your admin at? Because if you were doing the same amount of work that you're currently doing while you're too busy, but the
Hmm.
but a few hours spent refining your admin systems meant that it could be done more efficiently, you just got some time back because now the marketing and sales or the production are happening more efficiently.
Hmm.
Um, and like, when it comes to production, right, it gets very industry specific.
Yes.
Like uh our friend Jonathan, who was on the podcast previously, they use a project management software that is pretty specific to like contractors and tradespeople, called Builder Trend.
Hmm.
There's other ones out there like Job Tread and stuff like that, which are used by those kind of systems. Law firms will use practice management software. There's
Hmm.
one called Practice Panther. There's one called Clio that's very, very widely used. So
Hmm.
production management systems um, can be pretty industry specific. And then you also have like marketing and sales type stuff that
Hmm.
uh, you know, this probably falls more into the land of like CRMs and um, you know, whatever your emailing system is like, how do you keep track of and follow up with? But what I
Hmm.
find is people don't know all the features of the technologies and they don't want to have to research it because that seems like a lot of time. They don't even often they'll buy a thing and think that the buying of it is what's going to fix the problem.
Yep.
It's not the buying of it, it's the using of it. And then, they'll buy a thing and own it for years and not
Hmm.
even get trained on it or understand how to use it.
Yes.
And so there's often a lot of features that are just like not being utilized because it's frustrating for them to spend time figuring out what can it do.
Makes me think of what you've said before, and like, let's say a business owner is refusing to hire someone to expand their team because like, oh, it's going to take so long to train them, and this is not as maybe not as time consuming with like learning the software or the product, but it's fall in the same category of like, I'm so busy that I can't spend the time to learn this, even though it's going to make your life easier in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. And I think that speaks on a lot of topics of where you're kind of in a panic mode is a word that comes to mind, like putting out fires versus preventing them, if you will. And admin feels like, based on your description, is like the ultimate or one of the biggest fire preventer, or at least like grease the squeaky wheel scaler, if you will.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a thing come up last week. Um, uh, one of the admin systems I use is PayPal. This is
Hmm.
not an advertisement for PayPal. There's a lot
Yep.
of things I don't particularly love about PayPal. So
Yes.
I'm not telling everybody to run out and get PayPal.
Yes.
However, I am doing enough volume of business at PayPal that I got on the radar of their business support team. And somebody
Mhm.
goes, they call me and they're, I'm your new business support person. And I'm here to help make sure that PayPal works as well as possible for you.
Mhm.
And, first I'm thinking like, well, that's great and all, but my use of PayPal is really pretty simple. So I don't need anything. And she's like, was there anything we at all we could do to make your experience of PayPal be better? And I said, yeah, charge me a lower fee on the transactions.
Yeah.
And she's like, we have a tool for that. We can port you over to this new, better system that's based on the volume of business that you're doing with us, and you'll be charged a lower per transaction fee. And I was like, oh, cool. What do I need to do to get on that plan? You can just flip a switch. And she goes, no, I need to walk you through how to implement this, but I'm happy to make time to do that. It doesn't take very long. It's pretty simple. And uh, look, let me just, in case anybody isn't getting the point, I am no more immune to not wanting to work on my admin than anybody else is, right? I am a person just like anybody listening is, just like you are,
Yeah.
Joey. And so having somebody go, I can show you how to do this
Yes.
thing that you don't know how to do, don't want to do for yourself. I can
Mhm.
show you this. And it's like, oh, well, and part of my instinct was like, I mean, it's going to shave a little fraction of a percent off of what I get charged, but it's
Right.
enough of a fraction that like I did the math and like I could probably buy an extra hamburger or a pizza once a month if and hamburgers and pizzas ain't cheap these days. So I'm
No.
like, well, if it would save me that much money, then and it won't take a lot of time to implement, I might as well just do it.
Yeah.
So I have an appointment with her on Thursday afternoon for her to walk through all that for me and get it. And I just think that sometimes that's what it takes is somebody who knows what they're doing or sees the thing that you're missing
Yes.
to just say, I can show you how to set this up.
Yes.
And it'll take 20 minutes and then
Yes.
everything will be better forever.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's one of the reasons why people seek out coaches or mentors or consultants. It's just like, well, more so coaches because we kind of lead them in ways. Um, Rather because it's a do with process versus a do done for you, if you will.
Yeah.
Different kind of service entirely. And, empowering the individual because once I teach you once, you ideally will get 80 to 90% of it good. And that, I mean, that's true for admin. Or it's true for a lot of tasks, in a lot of ways. I think that's actually what stops people from doing a lot of new things. It's like it just seems too complicated. It's too big. Analysis paralysis, a lot of big tasks. I don't want to think about it. Nah.
Well, I mean,
Kind
yeah,
of thing.
but the other thing I find for myself, and this may be true for some of our listeners, but like I create little admin efficiencies for myself
Yes.
like all the time without thinking a whole lot about it. And they don't always have to be super technological. Um,
Mhm.
I don't remember if we talked about this when we were talking about networking, but um, I've developed a system when I would go out to in-person networking events, and it was like this. If I met somebody and I thought this person is really cool,
Yes.
or I see a huge possibility of doing business with this person, or if they say something like, I'm looking to hire a business coach, please contact me, right? Like
Yes.
the high priority stuff. I would take their business card and I would put it in my left front pocket.
Do this because you told me this.
And I picked left because I'm left-handed, and that makes a certain kind of sense to me. And then if I met somebody and I either didn't vibe with them or they seemed like they were trying to sell me something that I didn't ask to be sold, or just for whatever reason it just felt like a lower valence kind of interaction, I would take their business card and I would stick it in my right pocket.
Mhm.
And um that's an administrative system because
Yes.
what I would do is literally, when I would come home from that networking event, I would pull those business cards out of their respective pockets. I would take all the right hand pocket ones and throw them in a shoebox. And I would take all the left hand ones and lay them out on my desk in front of me. And one by one, I would email those people. Hey,
Hmm.
it was great to meet you at the thing today. I wanted to follow up right away. You know, here's the answer to your request. Here's the time we could meet.
Hmm.
I would love to get to know you more. Like sometimes it was just like, you said you were interested in talking about gardening. Our next open garden day is on this day. We can add you to our mailing list, whatever. Like, however, I told them that I would interact with them, I do it right away.
Hmm.
Is this an administrative system? I'm going to again say, yeah, it's super low tech. I mean, I'm using the email system, but what I'm doing is I'm just saying, I'm going to follow through right now. And I got one piece of consistent feedback from that. And that was everybody who said, wow, thank you so much for following up right away.
Hmm.
And over the years, I had a number of people tell me, you'd be surprised how many people I meet at a networking event and that we say we're going to follow up and have a meeting or whatever. And then I just never hear from them. And and so I like that supported me a lot in growing my business over the years.
Yes.
Um, you know, I think I still have that shoebox full of business cards, like literally all over here. And what am I doing with that? Like, I mean, like, and no offense to those people, right? I'm not hating on somebody that gave me a business card that went in the right hand pocket, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm just like, I only have so much time and I can't follow up with everybody.
True.
And
Very true.
maybe it wasn't, the right time for me right then. But that's an administrative system that doesn't require a lot of technology, and it just became a habit for me
Hmm.
doing that when I was out, doing a lot of in-person networking.
That makes sense. I using a non-technical little hack that I picked up when I was doing more ticketing system when I was at corporate was I got these new big sexy 32-inch monitors for myself for Christmas. And when I'm even editing this podcast, or mostly doing social media stuff, I've got one on one of the big screens here, and the other big screen I have two things because on Facebook, for example, I manage both ours and Scott's um, Facebook page.
For
If you
which I
can't,
am forever grateful.
yes. And so I have them up at the same time, and I'm
Uh-huh.
going from here, copying, pasting certain things, putting it here and doing it here, here. So it's like one, two, three, one, two, three, one, two, three. And so that to me, that's just an efficient, fast system that I can do to at least minimize the painstaking of opening this browser, closing this one, open this one kind of thing. So it's little things like that. Or just like little tricks as well. And for me, I'm always looking to automate things as fast as
Yeah,
possible. Like when it comes to finances, like I know that when I was in corporate, they gave a match percentage to like 401k or something is a great example. Is like if I had not set that up or automated it, I wouldn't have done it because it
sure.
takes that mental and cognitive bandwidth. That was the word I was looking for yesterday or looking for earlier in this conversation. And because you want to try if you can automate systems and find hacks to make it easier because you don't want to make it as difficult as possible. I kind of preach on this when it comes to habits. Like, if you want to start a new habit that you have deemed beneficial to your life or your goals, especially business, you need to make it as easy as possible to start. And usually, not always, but usually, what's going to happen is when you start a new habit that you've deemed beneficial, is sometimes there's a less beneficial habit that you're undoing. So it's always a kind of a two-step process. And you need to make that habit significantly more difficult. And a great example of this is I'm not a sponsor of this, although I wish I was because I think they're really cool. So I got this little card called Bloom. It's a metal card. And all you do is because my goal is trying to do social media less, just be off my phone. So you just kind of tap it. I'm not doing it right now, but you tap it and then it says, cool, you can't access your social media at all. So I go physically
Uh,
put the card elsewhere. Like I'll put it
Oh,
on
okay. All right.
my kitchen
All right.
table or something, which means like if I have the urge to scroll at night when I'm in my bed, I have to get out of bed, walk to the kitchen, open the app, tap it, then use it. I'm not going to do that. So those are examples of how to make it difficult. It's kind of a physical
That's
one
clever. I think I
as
heard of
well.
a similar thing where somebody told me that there was it was like a device. It almost looked like a wireless charger. And when you set your phone on it, it stops all notifications from coming through. And so like
Oh,
while you're trying to, get in the zone and get your work done or get your taxes done or, finish that painting or whatever,
focus mode.
you would just set your phone on there and it's not bleeping and buzzing and doing anything. It just blocks all those notifications until you pick it up off the thing and then they come all pouring back in, I
Yeah,
guess.
I actually use this app. Minimalist phone is what it's called. It's for Android only. And like I have it set to where it blocks all notifications 24/7
Yeah.
because it was so distracting for me. I couldn't do it. But I think that's a great example of like an admin task for me mentally, emotionally, and
Well,
cognitively.
I like your notion that it's sort of addition by subtraction, right? Like you
Yes.
are taking away the
Hmm.
ability to be distracted from the things that you're doing,
Yes.
that you want to be doing. And you're also, I think, a thing that a lot of us struggle with this, like be intentional about it.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I cannot I don't watch a lot of TV. I'm not like trying to be a hero about it. Like that when I find a show that I like and want to watch. We just watched the latest season of Fallout, and I was like, I would probably rather just binge through this in 2 days.
Yes.
My wife is more of a we'll watch like an episode over dinner, each night with occasional breaks. Tonight I feel more like watching, Taskmaster or something like that. But like
Yeah.
what I so I'm not against watching TV in the same way I'm not against going on social media,
Right.
but like doom scrolling or just sitting there and like flipping through what's their old song, there's 57 channels and there's nothing on. But
Yeah.
we got way more than 57 channels now. And you can sit there and just look and look and look and look for what you want to watch and then go, there's nothing I want to watch. And like, how much time did you spend, doing that? Like I usually, if I get it in my head, like I want to watch a show, then, let's do it.
Hmm.
But I don't sort of sit on the couch most nights and surf around. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
so I think of that similarly, so um, I will say there's one other admin thing that's very low tech that I
Sure.
have done for many years.
Hmm.
And that is, well, before I say this, also, one of the things I notice is in the way of people paying attention to their admin is they don't allocate any time to it.
Yes.
It's like all their time is split between the other two legs of the stool
Hmm.
and then whatever else they want out of life
Hmm.
or whatever little tidbits of time are left over after they handled their marketing, sales, and production.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so they don't allocate any time to it. And I got in the habit years ago of being like because I don't work on Fridays most of the time. There's exceptions. But Friday at lunchtime is my like, is there anything I didn't do that I said I was going to do either to somebody else or to myself?
Hmm.
Because I don't want to let anybody else down. And I'm trying to treat myself like a person and not let myself down by not doing the thing either. And
Yeah.
like, if all of that is done, then I can do whatever I want for the rest of Friday afternoon. And so the system I developed was I would carry a notebook around with me, and whenever something, I would be like, I should set up a meeting with that person, or I told them that I would send them a link to this thing or whatever.
Hmm.
I would write it down and put a star next to it in my notebook. And the starred activities had to meet certain criteria. Like number one, they can't be more urgent than done by Friday.
Yes.
And they can't take terribly long. Like no more than about 10 minutes is what I said for myself. If it's longer than 10 minutes, I should just put it on the calendar for when I'm going
Yeah.
to do it. And then it has to be able to be done from my desk because that's
Mm.
probably where I'm going to be. on Friday before I knock off for the week.
Yeah.
And I just made it a habit that I would put the star things down and then, I would just flip through the notebook, like what has a star, do that thing, put a check mark next to it. And then that's the only kind of to-do list that I ever keep.
Interesting. That's very effective.
And again, I'm bringing it up because it's really pretty simple and it works and it
Yes.
doesn't require you to research a new technology.
Yes. Yes. Very true.
Is it automated? No.
Mm-mm.
All right. And so it requires habit building because it's not automated.
That's
Um,
true.
so anyway, I guess I'm just making the point of saying that like that's an administrative system. It's a
Hmm.
task organization system. It's not Monday, like Asana or one of these other task administrative systems. But I have
Right.
clients that use both of those things and they
Yes.
work.
Yes.
But having my own paper and pencil based system,
Hmm.
uh, you know, that works for me.
That this does. And so, I mean, what comes to mind for me is like having my phone. I've got a note taker app that I can physically draw on
Uh-huh.
it or type notes or speak to it if I want to. So, I mean, I've always kind of take notes of like, oh, it's an interesting quote or like, I need to read that book. It goes on the list. I always have that on my person at all times because I'm more likely to carry my phone than a notebook. That's just me personally. But I like that task. And it makes me think of another one that I want to share. And I don't know if I've shared this before, but this might fall out of the realm of admin, but I think it would be helpful to use if you're just not sure. Like some people are like, I'm just all over the place. I don't even know how to like categorize these kind of things, which may be a different problem and maybe a different topic, but I'm going to share it anyway. And it takes a little bit of thought. So let's say you have that list that you created, like your to-do list, if you will. And you can kind of run it through four categories, if you will. How much time is this going to take?
Mhm.
And you can determine the time frame you want to use. We could use 2 hours as like 1 out of 10. So 10 would be 2 hours the task would take. Five would be 30 minutes and less than that. We can use an hour, whatever is best for you. How much energy is it going to consume? Like I would say working out is a 10. A lot of energy, right? How urgent it is. This could be relevant. So it's like if I don't do this by Friday, like I am losing that client kind of thing, or some other situation. And the last one is like how transformational is it?
Interesting.
Which is, subjective, but I'll use the admin task that I did of putting the corn and gluten, the weed preventant and feeder, if you will. Like, is that super transformational immediately? Not really. Kind of low effort. Took a little time, maybe about 30 minutes to an hour, 45 minutes, middle heat, middle. And didn't take a lot of energy, but it will save me a lot of energy and time for later,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I may not feel it immediately, but I'm like, I don't have to think about it anymore. So again, that's cognitive load, where some of these admin tasks, at least this is my experience, beginning your business journeys and as you're finding your groove, if you will, and every level there's another devil, as they say. But when you're in the middle of climbing it to get to that next level, you're finding a groove and like, oh, I need to do a website. Or like then you rebrand, like, I need to change my website. Those kind of things. As an example of like it takes maybe more energy and effort at first, but once it's done, you don't really have to go mess with that every week kind of thing. And those I
Yeah.
think are the scary admin tasks a lot of people like put off. And then there's the consistent ones that just are drudgery, if you will. So I really like the system that you have that's gonna like kind of cut through the noise to make it more like I always do it here. It's just what we do.
Yeah.
We do this always on Friday at lunch. It's just what we do, kind of thing.
Right.
And it does make it easier that way. So
The like technologically, the one thing I'm a fiend about is my calendar.
yes.
Because I, I'm a I am a fan of the idea that a task, like a to-do list task, that's not on
Mhm.
your calendar is setting you up for failure. You've
Yes.
allocated no time or urgency to the
Yes.
thing. And consequently, what you're really doing is you're saying, I'll feel bad about it later when I don't do it.
Yeah. Or like, I'll
And
do it tomorrow.
yeah, like one of the ones, but I still do my own taxes. I don't recommend this.
You're a hero.
This is a do as I say, not as I do kind of moment here, right? I've just been doing them for so long
Yeah.
that I have it down and I know how to keep track of my information in a way. I can usually get my taxes done in about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Well, I'm not trying to act like a hero about it. I don't think my taxes are that complicated. And
Okay.
I've just been doing it for so long that it's kind of a habit. But I have to discipline myself. It's not fun for me
Yeah.
to do my taxes.
Yeah.
Um, but like I'll put it on the calendar, like download TurboTax. And
Yes.
when I get to that calendar event, that's the only thing I do is like I download it and well, it's usually install TurboTax.
Right.
So I download it, I install it, and once it goes, you're ready to start your taxes. I go, great. I'm not gonna, you know,
Yeah.
but sometimes I do, and we talk. I think we have a whole other podcast about flow state and stuff like that. But
Yes. Yes.
sometimes I'm just like, well, I'll just go through and confirm that yes, this is still my address. And it's like, well, are you still married to this person? Yes. Or is this still your kid? Yes. Is you still own this business? Yes. And I'm like a third of the way through before I go, wait, 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 wait. I tricked myself into doing more than I said
Yes.
I was going to do. So calendaring to me is one of the most fundamental. I don't know anybody that isn't subject to a calendar because time is a precious resource for all of us. And even
Yes.
if your business activities don't require you to calendar all of them, then I'm just a huge believer in mastering your time because you're
Yeah.
not getting any of that back.
I've heard the expression, what gets scheduled gets done.
Maybe.
And that's very true.
It at least
Ideally,
has a
not a
chance of
blanket
getting
statement
done.
here.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, you're going to make a better chance of it. Just like, I don't know how true this study was, but they were just like people who write down their goals are like, what, 40% more likely to do it just by
right.
the simple act of like cognitively thinking about it, putting on a piece of paper, which requires you to go from the ethereal thing of your mind to
Yeah.
like concrete, I can articulate it. And by that act, you would be more likely to focus on it consciously and unconsciously, which is essentially just like you're doing this with your focus.
I'd
That's the
love
art of
to
it.
see the stats on when people go from it's written on a piece of paper to it's scheduled on your calendar. Then how do your goals, get
Well, it's true because I've heard an expression that I love and I use it a lot is like, when you write it down, it becomes a goal. When you have action steps under it, and we'll put, scheduling that under that too, becomes a plan.
Mhm.
If you never write it down, it's just a wish.
Yep.
So,
I wish I
yeah.
had that. While we've been talking, there's one other thing in Scott's big list of Luddite, low-tech administrative systems.
Yeah.
Um, this one was I did it when I was just literally starting out my coaching practice like 15 years ago. And it was suggested by my friend Jason.
Hmm.
Jason's birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday, Jason. Love you.
Yeah.
And he said, clear off a wall of your office
Hmm.
and get yourself some multicolored post-it notes.
Hmm.
And every time you think of a thing you need to do,
Hmm.
write it on a post-it note of the appropriate color. Right.
Hmm.
So in early days, it was like people I'm planning to meet, books I want to read, or educational materials I want to get, or classes I wanted to take. That was its own color. There were, again, admin tasks. There was actual client work, was happening in those days. Um, I don't remember exactly what all the categories were because it's been 15 years, but like I had specific post-it notes for those categories. And
Yeah.
I would oftentimes just sit down at my desk in the morning and spend 5 to 10 minutes just going, is there anything that I think I need to be doing that's not already up there on the wall?
Hmm.
And, we've talked about, in fact, I think we talked about very recently about how isolation is one of the big things that business owners struggle with. You don't have a boss, nobody's telling you what to do. The
Yes.
wall was my boss. And
Yeah.
it was like, it wasn't a very good boss because I got to pick like the path of least resistance. Like, what do I feel
Yeah.
like doing right now? But
Yeah.
what was useful about it, um, uh, I added one refinement to it that made it even more effective. And that was instead of finishing the task and then throwing the post-it note in the garbage can, I got a mason jar, like a
Hmm.
clear mason jar, and I would ball up the post-its and drop them in the mason jar. And each week, at the end of the week, I would look at how did it look.
Hmm.
And if it was like all yellow, I could tell I had been focusing on education tasks and book reading, and I hadn't gone out and met anybody.
Yes.
And so I could see like it was very monochrome. So I could see that I was focusing on certain kinds of tasks. If it looked
Mhm.
like a gumball machine with a real mix of things, I was like, that's probably a good week.
Yes.
And one of the other things I was implementing at that time is like business owners who skew towards being kind of high quick start people who are kind of like risk takers and they tend to want to move through information very quickly. Color is a incredible organizational system for those people because literally at a glance you can tell like how did I spend my time this week? At a glance,
Yes.
there's too much yellow in the jar.
Yes.
And so that's another one where it's like, if your organizational system doesn't require other people to interact with it, then
Hmm.
a wall in your office with post-it notes on it ain't bad.
No, it's not. And it's
As
very
soon
low
as
tech
you
once you
got
start.
other employees or assistants or contractors or anybody else that's working with you, it is
Yeah.
no longer effective to have a bunch of post-it notes on the wall
Yes, that's very true.
because they're not in your office probably.
Hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like today has just been Scott's Luddite admin methods.
I love it. It's so good. And, unlike I love that tool that you've shared, and it's very true. And it's also true in a lot of other areas of life too that come to mind is I've said this before, but people let's just use high achievers because they're always focusing on climbing the next mountain, if you will. And
Uh-huh.
they sometimes don't celebrate the summit. That's one thing, celebrating. But I shared this before, but I'll say it again, where like there's this concept I like to call the hell mindset, where you are, this is where you are, this is where the greatest version of yourself, your ideal version, or your goal, whatever. And there's always a gap. Like you ideally, if we're talking like personal development, you may never reach it because, life's a journey, if you will. But even the goal, once you get there, okay, there's another one. And what can happen to a lot of people, which I steal the term toxic fuel. We're like, but I'm not good enough. I need to get there, which is effective, but it's not sustainable. Because if you're constantly negative motivator, like not a way to live for certain people. So I call it the hell mindset because if you get stuck in this, you're like, but I'm never good enough. I'm not here. I'm always just like, because it's kind of like a goalpost for some people. And that's not good because some like it can manifest like not being able to take compliments, not feeling like your achievements are just like, yeah, that's great, but I don't have this kind of thing. Or, oh yeah, I got the company bonus, but I'm not the best as number one, all those kind of things.
Sure.
And one of the ways to combat that is just rather than like constantly focusing in here, you kind of turn your head back. I can't bend my hand that way, but you look back at what you have done, be like, wow, look at how far I've come. Using a mountain analogy, you're climbing up the mountain. You may not be at the summit, but look down and see how far you've gone. And this task that you've described is essentially that, because it gives you an idea of like, how am I doing? How is it going? Because if you don't know, it can feel like, I don't know, let's say you like to cut down trees and you're cutting in a magical tree that just keeps replenishing itself. It's never going to get there. It just feels kind of endless and sometimes hopeless. That's not a good mindset to have. So I love that
Yeah.
tool that you've shared.
The so this is coincidental and it feels weird that I'm doing this, but I'm just going to do it anyway.
Okay.
I'm going to trust that the listener, the watcher is doesn't think I'm a dick or
Okay.
for bringing this up. It is really hard, I think, when you are in a the struggle of working on and growing a business to of self-improvement, of whatever that is, it can be really difficult to recognize when you level up.
Hmm.
And I sent a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine that I, am free to be vulnerable with. I sent a message to him this morning, and I said that I'm basking in a compliment I just got from a client's employee. And this is a slight paraphrase, but what they said was, we are telling everyone in our industry what a pleasure and a benefit it is to work with you. We still have our growing pains, but knowing you are helping us to voice them and manage them has us all very happy to be working here at this employer. And I was I like I need to recognize that, it's been 15 years I've been doing this.
Yeah.
And and the the this year, 2026, has started off like at the deep end of the pool. Like big significant challenges for my clients and me needing to support them with that. And I was like, you know, I'm not the same person that I was 15 years ago. And I know more now. I'm more capable now, and it feels good. Um, and I think that, I'm never going to be like you were just gesturing, I'm never going to be all the way because, if what's the saying? If our reach does not exceed our grasp, then what is a heaven for?
Yeah.
Striving for something that we'll never quite get to, like, of course, that if we're like, yep, I'm done, I've accomplished everything. I mean, I suppose, maybe at retirement, but I also think, at retirement, if you don't have something else to work on, then you're just kind of running out the clock.
Yeah. I mean, like if you're not growing, well, at least in nature, not for everyone. If you're not growing, what are you doing? You are dying.
Yeah. Yep.
And
But
so the
anyway,
same is true for people.
we kind of touched on it, and I just wanted to bring that. I'm going to land the plane like this, and then I
Sure.
want to hear any other thoughts you have on this admin topic.
For sure.
A lot of admin is just about recording information,
Mm.
and that sounds boring.
Yes.
But if we don't record information, actually, I would suggest that we lose the opportunity to recognize how far we've come,
Yes.
right? If I didn't record my sales results, I wouldn't know that these days I probably have 2 to 3 sales calls per month. And 10 years ago, I might have 2 to 3 sales calls a quarter.
Mm.
And so boring ass admin is a great way to record and acknowledge ourselves for progress.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. That's very well said. That's why we always focus on like we help our clients create goals. We always ask them, how are you going to measure
Yeah.
that?
How many
If you
by
can't,
when?
yeah, how many by when? Like if you can't measure it and when you hit the ceiling of like this sucks or like I'll leave it with this kind of thing. Um, I don't know what this is called. I can't remember, but it's kind of like X and Y axis. It's like this little S curve, if you will. You go
Okay.
up and then you go down. And so it's just like uninformed optimism. Oh, wow, that's a really good opportunity. Oh my God, I really love to do that. It sounds really exciting. Wow, this is really cool. I love this. This is fun. And then you're like, oh, you're the midline here. So you go up in the midline. You're like, oh, wow, this is harder than I thought. Goodness gracious. And then it goes even further. And like, this really sucks. This
Mhm.
is called the valley of despair. This is where most people quit. Business, task, habit. You're like, I can see why not a lot of people make money in this business endeavor now. I see why a lot of people quit here now. I've hit the wall, if you will. Runners hit the wall. And you're like, but you know what? I'm gonna keep going, keep doing this, and that's where you get up to success, victory, whatever, kind of like that. And so, um, admin tasks can feel like one of those things like, wow, I really hate this. I really don't like this. I really hate this part of the
Yeah.
business or this the goal, things like that. And that's the thing where like, you know what, this sucks, but also like I really am more excited about the outcome doing it or gaining it when I'm done with it than doing it now. Kind of like working out. I don't really enjoy working out, but I love the feeling afterwards. That's what gets me through it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I'm not one of
very
those
true.
people who like I get that high while I'm working out. Like I do not. I
No.
want it to be over. But
Yes.
when it's over,
Yes.
that's the good part. I was like, I did it. The
Yes.
feeling of accomplishment.
Very true. Very
But you don't
true.
get that without going through the hard part. So
That is very true. And on that note, we were going to end it here. Thank you
cool.
all for listening. If you like this, give us a follow, give us or whatever else, likes, whatever, comments. And we'll see you next time. And stay tuned.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
Bye.